It started on a night when even the stars refused to shine. The rain came down in sheets, swallowing every sound, except the scream. In a quiet town tucked between dark woods and an endless stretch of highway, a young woman named Elise Granger ran barefoot down the street, drenched and trembling. Her white dress clung to her, stained crimson. Her voice ripped through the storm as she banged on a door for help. But by the time the porch light flickered on, she was gone, leaving only a trail of muddy footprints that vanished in the rain. The police called it a disappearance. Locals called it the beginning. That night marked the first of 9 unsolved murders that would haunt the town of Marlowe Creek for 15 years, each case eerily similar. A missing person, no struggle, no trace, as if the killer had evaporated into the darkness. A week after Elise vanished, a farmer found something wedged in his fence. A Polaroid photo, showing a terrified woman mid-scream. No one recognized her. The back of the photo read only. The sheriff dismissed it as a prank, but a month later, a mechanic named Chiu Kitu Drew Carver Chiu disappeared. His truck was found running on the roadside, headlights on, door ajar. Inside was another Polaroid, this time of Drew, tied to a chair in a dimly lit basement. The killer wasn't hiding. He was communicating. Fear consumed Marlowe Creek. Shops closed early. Parents kept kids home. But still, every few months, another person vanished. By the end of the year, the FBI got involved, and still no leads, no evidence. Every time they came close, the trail froze cold. Files vanished. Witnesses contradicted themselves. It felt like the killer was everywhere and nowhere at all. Marlowe Creek wasn't just any town. It was the kind that smiled on the surface but hid rot underneath. People whispered about old money, backroom deals, a sheriff who liked things quiet. When the disappearances began, many believed it wasn't a coincidence. It was a cover-up. The Granger family, Elise's parents, demanded answers, but their pleas were ignored. They posted flyers, organized searches, even brought in a private investigator. Within weeks, their mailbox started filling with threatening letters. "Stop digging, or you'll join her." Then one night, their house burned down. The fire department called it an accident. The neighbors didn't believe it. The townspeople wanted to forget. They wanted to move on. So they did what small towns always do when darkness creeps in. They buried it. Newspapers stopped printing stories about the disappearances. The sheriff discouraged questions, and slowly the fear turned into silence. But silence has a price. And every few years, when someone new went missing, the old dread returned, like a ghost refusing to die. In a bar off Main Street, the locals still tell the story of the night watcher. A man seen standing at the edge of the woods after midnight, never moving, just watching. Some say he's the killer. Others say he's something worse, because the truth is, in Marlowe Creek, everyone had a secret. And someone was willing to kill to keep them hidden. Detectives came and went. Each one left more confused than the last. The killer had no pattern. Men, women, old, young. The only constant was the fear and the photographs. Every victim was photographed before death, but where the photos came from, how they were delivered, nobody knew. In 2009, a young journalist named Clara Hensley arrived in town. She had heard about the unsolved murders and wanted to write a feature called The Town the Killer Forgot. But within weeks, Clara realized something. The town didn't forget. It just stopped talking. Every time she asked questions, doors slammed in her face. People turned away. Even the sheriff refused interviews. Then, one morning, Clara found a note on her windshield. "Curiosity kills faster than knives." 2 days later, she disappeared. Police found her car near the woods. The driver's door was open, engine running, just like the others. Inside, taped to the steering wheel, was another Polaroid. It was her, alive, terrified, looking straight into the camera. No body was ever found, and once again the town went silent. Years passed, the case went cold, until the detective Ryan Hale took over. Hale wasn't from Marlowe Creek. He didn't care about local politics or small-town silence. What he cared about was justice, and something about the case consumed him. He spent nights poring over old files, re-examining photos, cross-referencing dates and times, and then he noticed something no one else had. Every disappearance happened within 72 hours of a storm. Rain, thunder, lightning, as if the killer was waiting for nature to wash away his tracks. Hale also discovered something buried deep in an old evidence box, a cassette tape, labeled Elise. When he played it, the room filled with static, then a faint, trembling voice. The tape cut off. For days, Hale couldn't sleep. He reviewed every crime scene photo again and realized something chilling. In almost every shot, there was a mirror, sometimes shattered, sometimes dusty, but always there. He began to believe the killer recorded his victims using mirrors, capturing their final moments through reflection. When he shared his theory, his captain called it nonsense. 2 weeks later, Hale's house was broken into. Nothing stolen, except his files on the Marlowe Creek murders. But Hale didn't stop. He left the force and continued the investigation on his own, a man obsessed, chasing a ghost that refused to be caught, until one night he got a call that changed everything. A woman's voice whispered, "He's still here." Then the line went dead. The number traced back to Pai, a nursing home. 3 towns over, the caller was an elderly woman named Margaret Duval, a retired nurse who used to work at Marlowe Creek Hospital. When Hale visited her, she was frail, shaking, terrified. "He's not gone," she whispered. "He worked here. They all protected him." Hale pressed for a name. Margaret hesitated, tears in her eyes. "You've already met him." Before she could say more, she began seizing. Doctors rushed in, but it was too late. She was dead within minutes. Later that night, Hale received a package at his motel. No return address. Inside was a single Polaroid, a picture of him, taken from outside his window. On the back, that was the moment Hale realized something horrifying. The killer was still active. Desperate, Hale returned to Marlowe Creek. But the town had changed. The police station was half-staffed, many files missing. Locals refused to talk. And those who remembered claimed they saw the same man watching from the tree line, face hidden by a hood, unmoving, the same presence that haunted them 15 years ago. It was almost by accident that Hale found it, buried inside an old storage locker once owned by the Granger family. Inside was a shoebox of undeveloped film rolls. Hale had them processed, and what came back made his blood run cold. Every photo was from inside people's homes, bedrooms, kitchens, showers, all victims, all photographed before they disappeared. Someone had been living among them, entering their houses, studying them, waiting. But one photo stood out, a reflection in a mirror showing part of the photographer's face. Blurry, but enough for Hale to recognize the outline. It was someone he knew. The prey, former sheriff, now retired, living quietly in the next town over. Hale drove there that same night. When the sheriff opened the door, he smiled. "I was wondering when you'd figure it out," he said calmly. Inside, the house was spotless, except for one room. The basement, walls lined with Polaroids, hundreds of them, each labeled with a name and a date, each one showing the moment before death. At the center, an empty chair, facing a mirror. Before Hale could react, the sheriff raised a gun. "You think you're the first one who came looking?" he said softly. "They all end up in the collection." A shot rang out. When police arrived, they found 2 bodies, Hale and the sheriff. But the mirror in front of the chair was shattered, and a fresh Polaroid lay on the floor. It showed neither of them. It showed someone else. A man in the corner of the room holding a camera. To this day, the Marlowe Creek murders remain unsolved. The sheriff's prints were never found on the Polaroids. Hale's body vanished from the morgue before autopsy. And in the years since, new disappearances have been reported, all during storms. Locals say if you drive past the old Granger property on a rainy night, you'll see the flash of a camera deep in the woods. Once, twice, then nothing. No one knows who's taking the pictures. No one knows where the photos go. But everyone in Marlowe Creek knows one thing. the killer was never caught. Because maybe he was never just one person. Maybe it was something that learned how to wear a human face. Something that still watches, still waits. And maybe, right now, as you sit in the dark listening to this story, you should ask yourself, when was the last time you looked in a mirror and felt like someone was looking back?